Hey, what's going on? Charlie here for Christmas on Crestline. Thanks for joining in a little bit today, guys. Was not planning at all on doing a live this weekend. Actually, I was planning on filming or my part 2 and 3 of sequencing a light song. But then this whole COVID-19 thing just blew up across America, the coronavirus, and some weird things are happening. People are putting the Christmas lights back up. And it's not an idea. It's not a trend. It's a legit phenomenon that is going all over the world. I believe I've kind of done some research on this the last few days, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to go live. I guess here real quick, we got Braden Stewart. And I guess I should talk about who's in here already. Braden Stewart. Braden, are you Goofy's brother? Is this the Braden Stewart that I know? But Braden's already in here. BB family's already in here. Matthew, how's it going? Good to see you in here. But basically, I wanted to. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Matthew says he doesn't think he's going to put his lights back up till November. And Matthew, that was kind of my thought process as well. But this thing is legit blowing up. Now, I'm in Kansas, and we live in the heart of Tornado Alley. So I have a lot of concerns about putting things back up in the yards because if you don't know what the Tornado Alley is, if you are in the UK watching this later on down the road, Tornado Alley is Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, and we get 1,000 tornadoes a year. We get hit hard. I digress. To get back to the story, the best I could tell in my research the last couple of days, this originated in the UK, where they started social distancing before we did. And a lady who I don't know where she was at in the UK, but she had a ton of snow. And she figured, I got snow. My lights have never been taken down. I'm going to plug them in. And some family came by and said, hey, thank you. This gives us something to do. And she put that on social media, and it just caught fire. Now, if you just put into your search engine, Yahoo, whoever, COVID-19 Christmas lights, you'll see, go open up another web browser. It won't hurt my feelings, but just Google that right now or Yahoo that. I'm a Yahoo man. I prefer Yahoo. And just doing it right now, COVID-19 Christmas lights. And here are the top articles. People are putting up their Christmas lights back up to spread cheer amid the coronavirus. People put Christmas lights up to spread cheer amid, Christmas lights are going back up all over the country to symbolize hope. People are encouraged to put Christmas lights up, and that's out of the Illinois paper, Chicago, Illinois. Social media trend, people putting lights up. Coronavirus coping, putting Christmas lights back up for a do-over Christmas. So this is something that's happening everywhere. Gene Byers, Gene says there, let me get back here. Gene says, let me get back in my thread. That's funny. Gene Byers says, what color would COVID-19 most be like? That's funny. I'm guessing pink. But Matthew's in here says, I live in Ohio. We really don't get tornadoes. And that kind of brings me back up to my next thing. My lights are down. And it would take me 14 days to put my entire show back up. So that's five different colors, RGBW and strobes up on my roof line. I might do one string. It'd take me about 4 hours to do one string on my roof line. But do I want to put my peacock verticals, my fan verticals up there? No, not really, because they're heavy enough. Wind shouldn't get them. But that's 30-mile-an-hour underwind. I don't want them to blow off and cause any damage, so I'm not going to do that. My trees. Well, you have a red maple. It takes me 4 days to decorate that. That's dawn till dusk. But that's with no leaves on there. If I put them back up right now, it would take me 4 days to do it. The leaves are coming on. I would have to leave them on there all year. So that's basically that would be 9 months of them being left up and 9 months of squirrels getting in there and all sorts of other stuff. So I'd be replacing a ton of lights. I don't want to do that. The bushes we have are fire bushes. So they're just like trees. They bloom. So they're not evergreens where I can just put lights on them, take them off whenever. They're going to have leaves on them pretty soon. So then again, that's another 9-month ordeal. I have another tree that is just trunks for the first 40 feet of it. I guess I could do that. That wouldn't really damage anything, but that's about 3 days of work. So inevitably, I want something that's lightweight. If I put props in my yard, my fan verticals, I'm going to have to dismantle them every week just to mow. So that's not practical. So it'd be a practical thing. One thing here that Scott P, give a shout out to Scott P. Scott P is a fan of the show, and he's been on here for about 6 months commentating. Scott P is way ahead of the curve. I try to download his Scott P's way ahead of the curve. He's an all-around decorator every single holiday. And I tried to get his, he has a very beautiful, very elegant, and I'll actually put this in my next episode because I couldn't get it to go for this live. But his Valentine's Day lighting is phenomenal. Beautiful picture. But he did this for St. Patty's Day. Now, the warm lights you see of the shamrock, those are actually cool whites, but I tried to play around with the colors and get a little bit more green, and I screwed his photo up, so I apologize about that. But Scott P is a year-round decorator. He and his wife. And Scott, I don't remember your wife's name. I apologize. But they do something for every holiday, so they're way ahead of the curve. This is something that people were doing every now and then, but it's legitimately becoming a national trend. So I don't want things to blow away. In addition to tornadoes, we'll also get microburst here. Braden, you're building verticals right now. Is that what you're saying? Okay. So what is something that's lightweight, something that can be done year-round-ish, or at least right now? Because I do want to take part of this. And I was going to spend today filming part 2 and 3 of my sequencing, but instead what I'm going to be doing, and there's tons out there, so of this is what I'm talking about. This is what I did for Halloween. This is our Christmas balls. This is chicken wire, and this is our small one, and you can see how big it is in relation to me. But these are some orange lights. I put these out there for our inflatables, but these are like this one right here, 2 pounds, maybe, nothing big, but we got Easter coming up, right? So we could do some Easter eggs. So this is my idea. I'll film a how-to of these coming up, but there's already 18 how-tos on these, but they're not all that practical. But this bad boy, this Gigantor, is what I had. You can see some leaves on there. But this is what I had in the yard for our Christmas balls that I have not yet done a how-to on. But I'm going to put these bad boys back out, and these will double as Easter eggs because we got Easter coming up. I don't know what I'm going to do for a rabbit to make people realize, hey, that's supposed to be an Easter egg. But that's what I've come up with. I might do one roof line color. Matt says, those are cool. How do you make those? Well, and I wasn't smart enough to put it right next to me. Let me go grab that. I'm going to get out a picture for a half of a second. Sorry about that. So this is the chicken wire. It's 4 feet right here lengthwise, and I think it's 4 feet by 50 feet when you buy it. I got this at the hardware store. When you buy 50 feet of it, I want to say it cost me $35. You need that. You need some wire cutters, and you need gloves. There are a ton of different how-to videos out there already, and I'll make my own. And that's how I made it. I went to YouTube, put in, I think, Christmas light balls, and eventually I found the gigantic ones I wanted to build. They are very well edited and very well produced, I'll tell you that. They on there make it look so easy, like, oh, you just put on gloves and you cut it and you shape it and you mold it, and 4 minutes later you have a beautiful wired chicken ball. No, it's incorrect. You cut the heck out of yourselves. Wear thick gloves, and it takes us about, first you have to flatten it because it's wrapped up. It takes, Gene, what would you say it takes to make one of those? An hour and a half? What was Gene saying? What songs would you use if you put lights up for this? For Easter, that's a good question. My wife's working. She's at work right now. That's why she's getting in on this thread. $35. Yeah. $35 for 50 feet of it. But that $35, I think we build 4 of those out of that, maybe 3. Because you take the 4 foot, you cut out. I'll have to do my how-to give you all the exact dimensions. I don't have them all right now. But anyway, that's my idea. But I think for the 50 feet, I think we made 4 of them. Is that correct, Gene? So yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put those back out there, figure out something to do. I know I have an aunt, or my kids have an aunt who just moved, and she has a giant 6-foot rabbit that she asked if I wanted. I might actually want that now. So I have to get a hold of her, and that might make perfect sense. But this is legitimate. I don't know has anybody Googled that, COVID-19 Christmas lights? I mean, it's legitimately all over the country. So I think I'm going to start that here in town. There are less than 10 animators here in Wichita, Kansas, where I'm at. Matt says, what kind of lights would you use lighting a big pine tree? 30 kind of lights would I use lighting a big pine tree? Pine trees are unique because they're usually good climbing trees. Right now, I'm always a big fan of minis in Christmas trees, national trees in your yard. I'm a big fan of minis. Right now, if I did it, I actually might do C7s. If I were to do it right now, and I actually do have 1 pine. I always forget about it. When I bought this house, I had 26 pine trees. Then my wife and I went to the Bermuda Triangle on Friday the 13th, true story, to get married. And we came back, and our local energy company decided to run a new line, and they topped all 26 pine trees off, so we had to cut them all down because they made them all bare. But yeah, Friday the 13th, Bermuda Triangle. That's how much my wife loves me. That was fun. But I digress. I would probably, if I were to do it right now, my 1 pine that I have left in my front yard, I might be tempted to do C7s. There's a fella down the street who does lights about 2 miles down the road. Very good show. Lights on Golden Hills. And he uses C7s in all of his trees. He doesn't use any minis. And the first year I saw it, that's kind of gaudy. I didn't really like it, but it grew on me. After about the 3rd or 4th song, I sat there and watched. I'm like, okay, it makes sense now because it gives off a huge bright glow. He says I lost my audio. Is that true, folks? My audio going in and out? How much are Oh, Gene hears me. Okay. Matt says, how much are C7 lights? I actually bought my C7s that I use on my roof. Those are not commercial. Those are retail. And I want to say I got them for $6.97 a box at Wally World. And those are, shoot, I wish I had some box in front of me. I want to say those are 100 feet long. But not bad. Creative Display, so I get a lot of my commercial grade stuff from, just ended their 40% off sale. I got an email the other day from Evergreen, from Wintergreen Corp, and they were still doing a sale on there, so you might check those out if you're interested in commercial grade. See here, who's that? Ashley Ford. Ashley, first-time commentator. I've never seen you comment before. Good to have you on the show. Do you have problems with overheating? I never have problems with overheating. Never have had. Do you mean the connections, or do you mean the bulbs themselves, or what do you mean, Ashley? Braden Stewart says no. Braden, does that mean you can't hear me? Is that what you're responding to? Let's see here. So anyway, that's what I'm going to go to. Is I'm going to definitely do that because I can kind of be like Scott, and I can do that for the holiday lights around the world. I don't know what they're really going to call them. Holiday lights around the world law. We can make that the law project, the law against COVID. I don't know. But we can bring back some Christmas. If you look at my notes here. So I told you about the origin story. Oh, bonding with board games. I was on bonding with board games earlier today with Bart. If you're interested in board games, go check out Bonding with Board Games. They do, well, all things board games. And to me, a novice, I'm thinking Monopoly and Sorry and Life, but no, he has, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 different board games. I didn't even know that many existed. But one thing, and I talked to them on there, they did a live today about 11 that I talked to them on. And one byproduct of this COVID-19, this social distancing, is that we're not seeing at all a spike in domestic violences. We're not seeing a spike in abuse cases. What they're talking about, and Bart is in the law enforcement community, and he was talking about one of his commentators, I think it was James Brazel, was talking about how one of the cool byproducts is families playing board games and bonding, and that is kind of goes with what we do with Christmas lights and everything. Ashley says the connectors. Nope, never had a problem with the connectors overheating. On some of our connectors, we use and I don't have them out here. We use, it's not a splash guard, it's a moisture guard. We got them from Creative Displays. We do use that, and that protects the connectors, but we've never had a problem with overheating. Have you had that problem? Do you animate, or are you a still light show? What do you do, Ashley? And Key Manufacturing. There he is. There's Jim. He can hear me just fine. Jim, good to have you on here. Jim is one of our regular commentators, and he does his own Christmas light stuff as well. So good to have you on here, Jim. See what else? My notes. Mowing. I don't know if I touched upon that. That's another reason why I wanted to go with these Christmas light balls. Is I did have, when we put them up in October, we will still get 25-mile-an-hour winds here in Kansas. And I had, I can just use yard stakes, which are the same stakes I use for my dripping tubes. I use and not my dripping tubes for my Christmas show, but for my irrigation system. I have dripping tubes that go through my garden, and I had to stake that tube down, and I can use those for my Christmas balls, or Easter eggs, I'll call them for this season. And they won't blow away. They'll just stay there, and I can easily. The big green one I showed you a minute ago, that probably weighs 10 pounds. On that one, I believe I have 1,000 lights. On this little guy here, I think there's just 200. There's not very many on that. And I talked about it in one of the episodes. I actually can't remember. It might have been the behind the scenes episode I did. But I was amazed on how many lights they could take, and they were just too bright. I had to actually downgrade them to 1,000 because I thought originally I would need way too many. I thought I'd need like 1,000 or so. But those will be my Easter eggs. See what else on here. So yeah, mowing. I didn't want to put up the fans or the peacock verticals because you have to get around the mowing. Social distancing. Oh, in Europe, if anyone in Europe is in Europe right now, or for some reason you need to travel, even though there's a ban, YouTube and Netflix is getting ready to go to standard definition. They've already done it in Europe. YouTube just announced that today. They're going to 480. So if they do that here in America, the way they're doing it is everything's in standard definition. Nothing at all is in high definition, but also you can manually change it. You can go down to the bottom video to the settings wheel, and you can change it down to, if you want to go up to 720, which is where high definition starts, 1080 or 4K. So you can manually change that if they go to that. But what do you guys think? Is anyone in here, anybody going to animate? Ashley, a mixture of flashing and static items in my display. Some have transformers. Okay. Flashing and static. Very nice. That's kind of what we do for our Halloween show. Not really show. We have blow molds. Not blow molds. We have inflatables. But is anybody here planning on, or I guess a better question, is anyone on here, any of you guys, have you heard of this whole putting lights back up before I mentioned it today? What are you saying there? Ashley's question about overheating would usually only come from a sense of amp draw on each circuit. Okay, that's true. So Ashley, you might check your fuses. Trying to think of what else. Probably wouldn't be if you get that continuously, Ashley. It's probably not going to be from your outlet. It might be from your fuses, or are they old lights maybe? There is about a 20-second delay from the time you type something to the time I see something, just so you know. But anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing today. Is I'm going to start decorating again this weekend. So this next Monday, I might do a live, and I might take some pictures and put that up here about what I'm doing or have done. So if I have time today or tomorrow or any point in time, even Monday, and I get back to my sequencing, I'll do video 2, and then I'll have video 3 of that ready to go. So if there's a pause in my sequencing, that's what it's about. But again, this is Scott P's picture of his Easter egg. Well, a lot of Easter eggs. I just have the brand on there. Let me change it back. There we go. Scott P's. That's a St. Patrick design. And I'll put it, like I said, he has a phenomenal photo of what he did for St. Patty's Day, or for Valentine's Day. Jim, you going to put anything back up? Do you know how to make animated reindeer? Yeah, that's right. You did ask me about that in a video too. I don't, not yet. My wife is an engineer, and she's a software engineer, and she does have friends who are mechanical engineers. And I asked them about that, and they suggested getting a motor from a car, the windshield wiper mower, to use that as for a hand waving on a snowman or something. So, and I do have, I guess I could actually do that. I do make wooden reindeer that I have never talked about really. I just throw them out there and they just kind of stand there, and that's out of old fence posts. So I guess I could do a video on that and then check about animating the antlers, because the antlers I use branches for. I guess I could do that. So that'd be an option. Let's see here. No, you're not. He says no. You're not putting anything back up. Okay. Lights on. There we go. How you doing? Good to see you back on here. Are you going full pixel show this year? I am not. And the reason why is I don't think Christmas Expo is going to happen. The Trans World Show, which is supposed to be going on, what's the date today? It's supposed to be going on last weekend, was postponed to August. The Christmas Expo is in July. I am pixel ignorant. There are a few guys I watch. Candace Bader Christmas, which is the industry standard for a pixel show on YouTube, and then Learn Christmas Lighting is kind of a new fella. He and I came on about the same time on YouTube. He seems to know what he's doing. I'm ignorant to pixels. Made a pixel board before, just kind of, this is 5 years ago, just kind of playing around with it. But no, probably not this year, just because of the virus, because it's going to push us back. They have not canceled Christmas Expo yet. If that does go on, that's July 12th through the 20th, and that will be us. I've already signed up for everything. And they've already said if they do cancel it, they're going to give a full refund. But that's 8 days of classes, Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5, and I think there's a half a day on Sunday. So it's a ton of classes. Ashley, do you think if I lower the fuses would help? Jim, what do you think about that? You might be better to answer that question than me. I don't know if lowering the fuses, because I don't know you can do that. I'm ignorant. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about here. But I assume you're using just regular string lights, probably the 100 count minis, and those are just a simple amp change. Let's see, what do you say here, Jim? I work in the mechanical industry with COVID-19 virus. I bet you are. Medical industry. Yeah, I bet you are. Read mechanical at first. I bet you're extremely busy. I heard their GM is going to start making respirators and other stuff. I met a wooden reindeer. I must have missed a comment there. Let me go back up here. Do you know how to make an animated reindeer? I do know how to make a wooden reindeer. Yeah, there's two different styles, and I'll talk about that in an episode. Maybe I'll bring it in. Maybe I'll do a live Monday, and I'll bring that in and show you the one I do. My neighbor down the street used to do, he's about 6 houses down. He was as huge, he was maybe even bigger attraction than my house was this year, because he did something that's not done anywhere else in Wichita. He's the first to do it here, and he has a reindeer that is 30 feet tall, maybe 25 feet tall. It's definitely twice as big as his roof line, and he had probably 30 reindeer like that, but smaller in his yard. And I actually need to get with him and see if I can get his kit from him, because he does it in pieces where you can just, I'll have to take a picture of it and show it to you. It's kind of hard to describe. Matthew's Adventures. Matthew, good to have you on here. Favorite song to program? My favorite songs to program are normally ballads, because I can watch our show and I instantly know the difference between a song I programmed and a song my wife programmed. My wife's a much better programmer than I am. I like her songs a lot better than the songs I program. And after 4 or 5 years, we'll keep there are some songs, kind of the heart of our list we've had for years, and I'll forget who programs what song until I watch it for a minute and I can tell. But Straight No Chaser, Pentatonics, real easy. They're fun because they're slow enough you can do fades, but they are a cappella with no instrumental. All the instrumentals, them beatboxing, whatever. And it's not, you could take any other normal song, Justin Timberlake, Garth Brooks, whoever, and there's going to be spots, at least 30-second spots, you can copy and paste to repeat a pattern. With a cappella, you can't, because they'll be off. Even just a fraction of a second will screw up. In my Prism Light show, our software is down to the 10th of a second. For X Lights and for Latorama, I think they're even greater. I think they might be a 30th of a second. But when you get, for my program, when it's a 10th of a second, if they're off just by 1/10, you screw up everything. It doesn't pop and hit really automatically. Matthew, what about a Santa Claus projector? Yep, I actually was talking to my boy yesterday about how I need to get that, do a video out of that as well. Oh, you mean to do for, instead of put the Christmas lights up? That's neat. I like that because it's enough of an attraction that if you're driving down the street, kind of do a double take. They got a Santa Claus, and you might put it reverse back up. That's a neat idea. That's very good. Jim says, Ashley, plugs may also not be making a very good connection, so they could be arcing, which causes heat. Excellent point. So you might just check your fuses. I think that he and I are both kind of down to that. See, Matthew's Adventures, when do you usually start to program a year show year round? I never really stop. If I hear a song that piques my interest, I'll knock it out or I'll write it down and put it on our to-do spreadsheet. And that's one thing, I talked about that a couple episodes ago about doing a YouTube show, is it keeps me motivated. I used to have to put stuff in the calendar to keep me motivated to do stuff. Like tax day was always an easy one. But they just pushed tax day back to July 15th. And but then Jim and I are actually talking about that. Our birthdays are pretty close together in July. But yeah, one thing to answer your question further here, Matt, is every year there's new Christmas songs that come out. And a lot of them I'm seeing, I'm not a huge Hallmark Christmas video guy. I would love for there to be a YouTube show, YouTube idea. Anybody feel free to take this. I would love there to be a YouTube show who just critiques Hallmark Christmas movies. Because as a guy, I don't necessarily want to watch a love story in a new Christmas movie every single week. I don't know. Might show a little bit of sexism there. I don't know. But I'm not really interested in that. But if there was a YouTube show out there like, hey, this isn't like the others, Bruce Willis makes an appearance and he crashes a helicopter and does some cool stuff, I might be interested in that. Point being is they'll come out with new Christmas songs for those Hallmark movies, which gives us more options to program. I did a few episodes earlier in 2019 about the top 5 songs to program for Christmas light animators, for obscure, and for something else. But there's always new and cool different songs out there to program. So after about this time of the year, what is this? It's March 21st today. All the songs from last year that were popular are kind of still popular right now. But you never really stop programming songs. You're always looking for something different. Everything goes well. Any big projects in motion. You talking about builds? I need to do some filmings for some prop builds. But I do, and one thing I do every single year is I want something different. I want a new prop out there because we do become a family tradition. There's people, and I keep meaning to do an episode about this, and I keep forgetting. One cool thing, a byproduct of doing an animated Christmas light show is it didn't happen this year, but this last year, 2019, was the first year it didn't happen ever that we've ever done a show. But we'll go out one day, and instead of finding vandals have stolen something, which has happened to us once, we'll find a thank you card, or we'll get mailed a thank you card, or we'll find a little present in the yard thanking us for putting on a show. Now, we don't do it for the thanks. We do not do a donation box, mostly because I don't want to be responsible for money. I just don't. I do it because I love doing it, and I like families coming by and being part of their traditions. I don't want anything whatsoever to do with any money. I don't want money being stolen, and then it's a news story. We've been a part of 2 news stories, one good, one bad, here at Christmas on Crestline, one for getting stuff stolen and one for this last year for doing our animated light show. We won the Kansas Christmas light fight in 2018. So that was a show. But the big projects, to answer your question, Lights on Taggart, is I want to do a new prop this year. I have a couple things in mind, but I don't want to tell you I'm going to do a particular prop and then not wind up doing it. So I have a couple things in mind. I'll just tell you, I've always wanted to do a star somehow on a guide wire that's from a tall tree that is kind of like a shooting star, but instead of it being gradually coming down, like some folks will have that, but they'll have 5 different stars, and it'll be a visual trick of the eye to where it's falling down. I'd like to have one that actually slides down, but that kind of goes with having an animated still prop too. But that's one thing I always wanted to do, but I have no idea how to do it. Jim says, a lot of REMA are adjustable when programming the seconds of a song, I think down to the 16th. Okay, so it is more acute than what my program is because I'm down to the 10th. Matthew's Adventures, I have my songs for this year picked out, but I have not started programming them yet. This is my 2nd year with the show. What program do you use, Matthew's Adventures? Are you Latorama? Are you X-Lights? Are you Prism? Are you Vixen? What program do you use? Matthew Bowen, Pathway Lights are cool. I would recommend you do that if you haven't already, and I haven't. I don't do Pathway Lights. I can. We have quick light posts, which I did an episode a little while ago, talked about that being a theft deterrent. I probably could have articulated that a little bit better. It's just a way to elevate your lights to rope an area off. Not really a theft deterrent per se. It's a visual reminder of, hey, stay out of this area. But I could absolutely do that. That's an excellent idea, Matthew. That would be very easy. That would take me all of not even an hour to do. Boom, I'm going to do that. I'm going to write that down before I forget. Matthew, good suggestion. We got a few Matthews today. Don't want to forget which Matthew Boham gave me that suggestion. Path lights. That would be very easy, and I will absolutely do that. Boom, good suggestion. Matthew's Adventures, Latorama. I usually use the 10th of a second when programming. Now, do you have the same problem, Matt, that I have run into when you're doing, or do you do acapella, Boys to Men? Do you do straight note chaser or pentatonics? And do you have that problem I do where you can't copy and paste because it's a little bit off? What's Jim saying here? I'm with Matt. I use a 10th of a second for mine as well. Yep. And that's usually works great. And I prefer to use, what do you guys do? Do you guys do, I prefer a song that's 4 minutes or less. When I originally did Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas, that took 24 man hours at least, if not 30. That was an ordeal. Excuse me. Not COVID. Just drank down the wrong windpipe there. You got to be careful when you cough now, don't you? I know somebody answered me when I asked if you're putting lights up. I think that was Jim said no. Matt, Lights on Taggart. Ashley, are you guys going to put lights up this year? Scroll back here. Jean says she can hear me. Okay, going back up here through the comments. See, Matt said, when do you think this virus will end? Well, it depends on who you believe. I read a story by some finance guy on Yahoo the other day, and its title was Hell is Coming, which is an ominous title. But it said, according to the math that this guy did, that by April 15th or June 15th, I forget which one it was, we're going to start having 1,000 dead a day in America. If that's true, then we're looking at way past summer. And Kansas, I think we're still the only state. We have canceled all schools, private and public. There's no more school. They didn't suspend it. They didn't postpone it. They canceled the entire school year. They're saying right now the priority is getting seniors to be able to graduate. And they're looking at some online stuff. But, yeah, all school is completely canceled in our state. Let's see here. Matthew Vincers, I use 90% pentatonics for my show. Very nice. The copy and paste did not always work. This year I'm doing more ballads. And I have found, see, I'm guilty of doing the songs that I like. Actually probably should get more, I don't know if progressive is the right word, more mainstream maybe, to where I should get the popular songs that are out. I had a gal years ago who kind of chastised me a little bit for using non-Christmas songs. She was, kind of, how dare you use non-traditional songs? Christmas is about Christmas. Keep Christ in Christmas. So I kind of felt bad, like, okay, I'll just do Christmas songs from now on. And we do. I think she was complaining about my Vanilla Ice that I had in there. And I'm a product of the '90s. I was born in the '70s, grew up in the '90s. So Vanilla Ice is kind of a throwback, kind of a joke type of song. But I think that's what she was yelling at me about. Braden, what are you saying here? For my yard, do you think I should just do the front yard or the backyard or both? And I didn't care if you're Goofy's brother, and if you're the Braden Stewart that I know, you would get more of an attraction by doing your backyard that runs up and down Central Avenue, because that's where your audience is going to be. That is where people are going to see your house most. Braden lives in a very unique, if this is the Braden I know, lives in a very unique part of, no, you don't live in a unique part of town. You live in a unique neighborhood where it's kind of like country living, where you go back into, the mountains of West Virginia or Arkansas or Mississippi, or Missouri and the Ozarks. And it's a very wooded area, kind of hard to drive through because of all the trees. Well, he lives that in the heart of town. It's kind of a unique neighborhood that they just kind of left it aesthetic. And in order for people to come down your main road, they'd have to go zigzag around those trees, and eventually someone would wreck the car. So to combat that, I would just decorate your fence line. And you can go to Creative Displays doesn't have them. Wintergreen Corp doesn't have them. I I'll have to get back with you. I forget who it was, but the talking Christmas trees just had them like insanely on sale for like $12 a piece. And I meant to buy them, and I forgot all about them till right now. Dang it. But I'll have to look to see where that was at. But if you can program those would be neat to put on your fence line. Those would be actually pretty dang neat. But to get back to Math Adventures, doing more ballads. I like ballads as well. You can do, I'm a big guy I like the fades and everything else. But Matthew Bowen, I'm going to take your idea of doing my line, my pathway line. I'm going to put out the Easter eggs, Christmas balls, and I'll do a how-to on those. But there's, like I said, there's a lot of good videos out there on how to make them. Just put in like giant Christmas balls or something like that. And you should get some YouTube videos. But don't believe the hype when it only takes them 4 minutes and they are perfectly round. It's not going to happen. Plus, you don't want them perfectly round, because then they'll just roll around in your yard. You want the bottom to be flat. And I will make a realistic video where I tell people use thick gloves, because you're going to get poked and prodded. It's kind of like taking staples out. Let's see here. How long are we going? Been going 39 minutes now. Go a few more minutes. I want to make sure I wanted to keep this underneath an hour. So yeah, I will start decorating. I will make that a thing. Matthew Bohm, I do my front yard with colored lights and my backyard with clear lights. I've seen that before, and that is a very neat transition. There's a house down the street here who does colored lights in his back and clear lights in his front yard. Braden says, okay. Let's see here. I wanted to talk about something else, but now it escapes me what I wanted to talk about. Bushes, no tornado, alley, trees, props, Easter eggs, chicken wire. So that's about it for today. I think, unless somebody else that they want to talk about or ask a quick question about. Ashley, did you get all your questions answered? You say thanks. I just want to make sure we don't forget you. Let's see on here. Braden, you said you're going to start doing an animated light show this year. What program are you going to use? You say next year. You mean 2021, or do you mean this year, 2020, in this coming season? And you go to Goddard, I believe, and you guys are out of school right now, so you have tons of time programming. Let's see here. Second year doing a show. This is my second year of doing a show as a junior in school. You were junior. Nice. I assume you mean, well, of course you mean high school. I guess you probably don't mean college. I'm guessing. Lakers fan. The second year of doing a show. And what program did you use? Did you already tell me? See here. Lightorama. You did tell me. Lightorama, 10th of a second. How big is your catalog, Matt? Do you have 10 shows already pre-programmed? Do you have 20? How many songs? How many songs do you have, Jim? How many songs do you have, Jim? You use yours is down to the 10th of a second as well. This year I plan on adding probably 10 songs. Normally we only average probably 5. This year I'm gonna double it. I'm gonna do probably 10 songs, mostly because I'm gonna do at least one for the YouTube show, Christmas on Chris on the YouTube show, and then that will kind of motivate me whenever when I start getting into programming. I'm actually legit programming. I usually have to. It gets addictive. It gets frustrating too, but it gets fun. Jim is using 10. Oh, sorry. Jim's using 10 songs. Let's see here. I recommend you doing lights on your deck if you have a deck. He does have a deck. He has a phenomenal deck, but his deck is on the front of his house. And one thing you can do on here, just if you guys aren't familiar with StreamYard, you can do an @ and I'll do @ Should work out. Now, Jim, on yours, did that highlight yours? Oh, it did it on both Facebook too, because I'm doing Facebook and YouTube right now. Let's see here. I don't use music for my display. Just don't know if any of my neighbors would like it. Well, here's the thing, and I actually need to do a show about this. Good job, Matt. I need to write that down. How to broadcast your radio signal. Let me write that down. I need to do a video on that. So you don't know if your neighbors like it because of the traffic or because of the music, or why do you think they won't like it? One thing, I've had one neighbor who came over 4 years ago now, and our radio frequency was coming in through his baby monitor. So we had to change it up for a little bit. And then next year, I think the next year we actually just did a static display where we did our Candyland game. But if you're talking about your neighbors' driveways, you can go to, if you want a legitimate, we don't use them, but I know other animators use them. It's an app. It's called Fiverr, Fiverr, 2 R's. And you can go on there, and it's called Fiverr, I think, because most things cost just $5. But you can get guys to do voiceovers and there's a ton of people here in town that actually use it. I think I might actually be the only animated light show in town that just uses my kids. But you can get professional guys to do your voiceovers where they say, you remember the guy when you go see movies, go, in a world where Christmas lights, whatever, but the in a world guy, they're just like that. They usually $5 to $25, and they'll do all your radio stuff for you. But you can get on there and say, hey, you can write the script and they'll say it. Hey, please remember to stay out of my neighbor's driveways. It is highlighted. Okay, so if you guys want to talk to each other in these streams, you can do @ Matthew Boham or @ Braden Stewart, and it will highlight them so they'll know that you're talking to them. Let's see here. Braden, with the big light bulbs that I have, I put the trees on the fence. Do you think I could put the bulbs? You could put the bulbs on the tree. I know what you're talking about. He has the giant light bulbs about the size of this chicken wire, and they're humongous light bulbs, kind of like prop bulbs. But yeah, put those on your chimney. I would don't fall off. Take your dad or take Goofy or one of your other brothers up there with you. But that would actually be pretty neat. I don't remember what kind of trees. I know you have some evergreen trees up there, but as long as the trees, when they bloom, they don't mask that. And you want your lights to be somewhere visual. But that's a great idea. 2020. Okay, so you're going to do that this year. So do you have software yet, Braden? Have you gotten that yet? A lot of old people live on my street, and I just don't want to annoy them. As do I. I think I'm the youngest guy on my block. I know I'm the youngest guy on my block. The average age of my block is probably 60. I just had a neighbor across the street who's 90 who just bought the house and moved in. And her name is Floyd. Shout out to her. And she, F-L-L-I, has the same name. Her and my grandpa have the same name. But she's 90 and just bought a house over there. So they all love it, though. They all love the attention. They love the lights. my neighbor right across the street from me, who also decorates, she's almost 80. So I have great neighbors. None of them care. The only one who cares about the traffic is my wife, because when she tries to get in the driveway and it's blocked by the tour buses when she's coming home from work or coming home from the grocery store. Braden, and I don't know what program to use, because program I will use, I've messed with some. I haven't found one I like. X-Lights is free. If you want to go Pixel, X-Lights free. It's a user-based. You can download that. It's user-based, so users like you and me would write all the codes for it and everything else. But that's a free system that you can get into. I think I'll do Lightorama. Lightorama is a good one. And kind of a side story I've never told before. When I was looking at what to get into, when my wife finally gave me permission, because I wanted to make sure she was okay with it, because my ultimate goal was to be decently big of a show where I do have tour buses. So I wanted to ask that permission years in advance so I don't get in trouble with her. But when I got permission to animate the show, we looked at Lightorama and we looked at a bunch of other stuff. And at the time, Lightorama was kind of like this VHS versus Beta. And Braden, folks, Braden, how old are you now? 13. He's a young fella, so he doesn't know what Betamax is. VHS is probably, but it ended up VHS tape 1. So Lightorama was not that big then. I did not like the name Lightorama. I thought that was a cheesy name. I'm like, there's no way they're going to do anything big. Their name is Lightorama. It's stupid. And I passed on them. Now, of course, they're one of the biggest in the land, and I should have stuck with them. My neighbors love lights. I just don't think they would like the music. Which gets me back to my other thing, is the music. You can put speakers out, and we do for our foot traffic, but you can have your radio frequency broadcasted, but if you don't put speakers out, they'll never hear it. It'll just be blinking lights. They have to physically tune in to the radio station in the car, or if you're my neighbors within about 50 yards of me, you can tune in to your radios in your house, open up your blinds, and watch the show. But that doesn't make it's never loud for them. We've had one neighbor complain about radio frequency, but that was actually because our speakers are loud up too, and we have turned those down. But I'm gonna disagree with you there, Matt, as I don't think neighbors would have a problem with music, because if you don't put speakers in your front yard, they'll never hear it. So, in case you didn't know about that, something to think about. Matthew, we don't have any speakers or sound right at our houses. We use a radio station transmitter only, and everyone listens to the music. Boom, that's exactly what I was talking about, Jim. You just worded it more articulately than I did. But that's, yeah, I use speakers, but it's just for foot traffic. We used to have a very nice seating area, and we had a family, one particular family that walked about 6 blocks down to us every night, sat and watched the show with the 3-year-old, and then some Grinch, I'll say, came by and stole our seating area. So that sounds like a good idea. Yep, and that's exactly right. My wife, like I said, who is, and I will always say, is much more intelligent than I am, takes care of our radio frequency. I know how to set it up. She can probably explain that. She doesn't like to come on camera. And if you notice in the video she's in, you just see her hands. She's kind of like, what was that neighbor on the show where you just saw the top of his face over the fence? Had what? Wilson. My wife's in the room now. Wilson. What show was that? Tool Time. So I guess you can hear my wife's voice. You can see her hands, but you'll never see her face. Not yet. So let's see. Brain says you'll do a lot of Remo. Sounds like a good idea. Let's see here. I thought I saw 2020. Yep. So I'll be doing that the next couple of days, put these lights out and kind of getting in the spirit of things. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. One of the ladies I saw actually just had the article pulled up a second ago. It wasn't the gal in Illinois. I think she was in Minnesota. Yeah, she's in Minnesota. And she said, let me get back to my page. She said she never took her lights down and never takes her lights down. So she just had to plug them back in. And she too was getting people to stop by and say thanks. and she's getting accredited with starting that trend in Minnesota. I thought I saw her name. I'd give her a shout out, but I don't see her name on here anymore. COVID battle. This is a new one on YouTube. Somebody just put it, COVID-19 battle the darkness with Christmas lights. So somebody else is doing that's by a Jason Wydro. I don't know that channel. I don't know anything about him, but that is a new video that popped up 2 days ago on March 18th. So apparently I am late to the game to hear about this. Here's my challenge to you guys. If any of you, Braden, Jim, Matt, Lights on Taggart, if you're still on here, Ashley, if you're still on here, do me a favor and let's see here. If you put lights up, take a picture of it and send them to me, and I'll put them up off the show. Because I'm probably gonna continue my lives. I do Monday lives because I'm naturally off on Mondays. It's when I work 3 days. I have 3 days off every single week. Yay for me. But that's why I do lives on a Monday, and very rarely. This is my first Saturday live. Sorry, Braden. You're 14. I said 13. My apologies. See, what are you saying, Jim? I don't remember if you have done a video about radio transmitter, and if not, add that to the list. Yep, I'm going to add it. I've said it out loud. Yep, radio signal transmitter. So I will sweet talk my wife into doing a video about that with me. She's not saying no, so maybe she's either ignoring me. Probably true. I talk a lot. Christmas lights are my life. I knew I liked you, Matthew. I knew I liked you. Christmas lights are my life. Good. Take a picture of that if you guys are putting these things up. And we need to come up with a hashtag. I don't know if one exists. One probably does exist, but this whole topic has only been going on for less than a week. So if there's a hashtag out there I don't know about, but we'll start one up. If you guys have any good ideas, let me know. I won't put mine up until November. Okay, and that's fair. There's no reason for you to, unless you just kind of want to do this. We have only one confirmed case of coronavirus here in Wichita. We have 0 deaths, or in the county, actually. We're in Central County, Kansas. We have no deaths. We're not getting hit hard by this, at least not yet at all. So, and up in the Kansas City area, they have like 30 cases. I think 24 just in Johnson County. But yeah, and normally I don't put mine up until later as well. November, okay. Oh, because that's when Thanksgiving is. Okay. I started hanging mine way early last year, and I had a reason. I forget the reason, but I want to say first week of September is actually when we started doing it. I want to join your Christmas light crew. What do you mean by that? What Christmas light crew? You want to join your Christmas light crew? There might be a hashtag in there somewhere. Hashtag Corona Christmas light crew. I don't know. Yeah, if you're talking about my Christmas light crew of putting my lights up, it's normally a one-man show. Just because I am hugely into this. My wife kind of gets into it. My kids, they like the byproduct of it. They like it being up. They like the show. They like the tour buses. But the manual labor, my dad grew up and was raised. He was 6th generation farmer. And he got out of the game when he left. Dad, I don't know if you're watching this. I think he left home at 17, and then he did body work. He rebuilt cars for the next 50 years of his life. Point being, I remember he still had the farmer's mentality. He'd hand me a rake. Leaves aren't going to rake themselves. Now I love raking leaves. I love doing yard work. As a 17-year-old, I just wanted to go to the lake and hang out with my buddies. 15, 16, 17. When you're a kid, raking leaves is fun because you get to pile them up and then you get to jump into them. Hashtag lights for life. Corona kindness. Okay. My wife's watching again. What do you guys think about those? Yay or nay? Lights for life. LOL. LFL. Okay. CK, Corona kindness. That could be a thing. I mean, if you like work. I mean, like work for you if you hang lights for customers. I don't, actually. I just do it for myself. And I don't think I hung any for my mother-in-law. But But I had another fellow that asked me how much I charge per foot hanging Christmas lights. I don't do it as a job. I do something else for a living, and I wouldn't mind doing it. But I'm pretty passionate about it, and I don't like a light bulb being out of place. My father-in-law came over one year. My father-in-law is a tourist attraction. His home is a legitimate tourist attraction in Indiana. He's been in National Geographic. He's been in. He's huge on. I can't think of the website. They do obscure things to see in different states. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on it. But his house is a tourist attraction in Indiana, and he has outside of his house. Notice I said outside of his house first. 10,000 birdhouses. Inside of his house, he has thousands, 2,000-3,000 birdhouses and Christmas lights. And he doesn't charge a fee. People come over there and see all the birdhouses. What's that? My wife's saying, doing my part, coronavirus USA, maybe. But he came over one year, my point being, and he used to do tons of flowers. And then he got too old to take care of them, so he switched to birdhouses, and he's still a tourist attraction. But he came over one year to help me hang lights, and he did it wrong. And I said, "Thank you, but I got this." And then he didn't like that. Apparently, I'm too big of a perfectionist. But his house, if you guys are ever passing through Logoti, Indiana, stop by and check out his house, or look for him. Google Logoti, Loogootee. Birdhouse. And if you guys are ever passing through Southern Indiana, stop in and see him. It does not charge admission. Let's see here. So we are coming up on an hour. I knew I wanted to keep this underneath an hour or at an hour. Does anybody have any last comments for today? For Jim and for Matthew. Matthew, thank you for the idea of doing the light path. That would take an hour, 2 at the most to do. So that is a phenomenal idea. I'll do that. And then Jim and Matthew, I'll absolutely get out a radio transmitter episode here at some point. And Matthew, where are you in Kansas? Where are you from? Before you go, that was a great day. Are you in Kansas? Are you in Wichita? Is that why you're asking to be on the crew? If you are, if you ever need any help, maybe we can get together and I can show you how to hang the lights the way I do it, if you're interested in that. But I guess I will sign off now. And if nobody has anything else, and I will do a live again on Monday, and I'll take some pictures of whatever I do this weekend. And I'm still going to try to find time to sequence a song, and so I can finish that. So I just started that series a couple days ago, so I can sequence that song out and get that done. Let's see here. So I will sign off now. So I'm Charlie. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you next. See you guys.